Good morning and welcome. We are heading into week 3 of the pantry challenge, so I thought I'd sit down and show you everything that we ate last week for week 2. Here we go. Monday morning, the kids' lunches were tuna sandwiches on homemade bread. We had some Teddy Grahams and granola bar, apple slices, and a yogurt for each. While they're at school, I made some banana oatmeal muffins with blueberries. I had some bananas that were going a little brown in the cupboard I wanted to use up. My husband and I had one of these for our lunch along with the leftover tuna as we had a hospital appointment that morning. We almost always have chicken on Mondays. This is some chicken breast fried in the cast iron, a salad, basmati rice, dilly beans, and cucumber slices. This is the plate of myself and my husband. Tuesday morning, this is the kids' lunches. So we had the muffins from yesterday, a yogurt. My oldest had applesauce, some goldfish, a granola bar, and then the leftover pasta with homemade tomato sauce and some ground beef as their main course. Grown-up lunch was also leftovers. I just fried up some chicken and rice, and then I added some veggies that we had in the fridge, cabbage, pickled peppers, and broccoli. For supper on Tuesday, I pulled a venison roast and cooked that low and slow during the day. We had mashed potatoes from our homegrown potatoes and Brussels sprouts, homemade gravy. And this is my husband's plate for that evening for supper. Wednesday, the kids had bagels, a half of a chocolate chip muffin, granola bars, yogurt, orange slices, and then my oldest had cucumber slices instead of the yogurt. My husband had a bagel sandwich with some of the leftover venison and some ketchup chips. I had a salad with some of our home canned salmon. You can see in the background there, I also made a couple loaves of bread, and I also made chocolate coconut cookies this day. This was a leftovers day, so we had the leftover mashed potatoes and Brussels sprouts. I just threw those in the oven to heat them up. The leftover gravy, some homemade bread, leftover venison, cheese, sauerkraut, dilly beans, pickles, and some lettuce. There's our plates for supper that night. All right, the kids' school lunch were the leftover venison made into sandwiches. They had one of the coconut cookies that I made the day before, rice cake, orange slices, yogurt, and then my oldest also had an apple instead of his yogurt. So I made a fridge dump soup to get rid of all the little bits and pieces in the fridge that needed to get used up. So that is what me and my husband had for lunch on Thursday. For supper, we had the soup as well. I added a little bit of grated cheese on top, and I served them with grilled cheese sandwiches with the rest of our homemade baked bread. Friday's school lunch for the kids had the very last of those bagels, a rice cake, the rest of the coconut cookies, apples, oranges, and then my son had the very last bit of the roast venison. The adults had even more fridge dump soup, and I think we've had it a couple more times in the next few days. Friday night was just a couple of frozen pizzas I had down in the big deep freezer. Soup again for lunch on Saturday. This is the very last of it, though. Saturday night was a homemade freezer meal. This was some chicken pot pie I had made and froze a while ago, and then I just served it with some frozen corn we had. Here's the chicken pot pie plated up. This is our lunch for Sunday. We had a big breakfast that day. I did some scrambled eggs and waffles. So for lunch, I just used some frozen pita I had and put it in the air fryer with some spices. We had some leftover hummus, some olives, the very last of our lettuce, and some carrot sticks. This was really nice. It used up quite a few of things, and it was a nice, light, snacky lunch that day. Here are our burgers cooking for Sunday night. So here we have our burgers for the night. They're half beef and half venison. I find the extra fat from the beef actually cuts the gamey taste from the venison quite a bit. Some homegrown green beans, homegrown onion, homemade relish, some lettuce, some cheese. Those burger buns, I got it from Flash Food. They were 12 for $1. And then this is a strawberry rhubarb pie that I got over Christmas for $2, and I had just thrown in the freezer. It was really good. Here's my plate this evening. I actually went downstairs and grabbed a bottle of homemade dill pickles as well for a side dish.
So there is everything we ate this week, primarily eating out of our pantry. The only groceries I have bought was what I showed you last week for my week one. One thing we are very low on is any sort of fresh vegetables. I still do have lots of frozen green beans, frozen zucchini, frozen Brussels sprouts, onions. I have fresh pumpkin and cabbage, but I've really been wanting some more like salad type items. So I plan on heading to Gateway tomorrow. I was going to go this morning, but it's snowing. So I'm going to wait till tomorrow and head to Gateway and see what we can load up on some fresh veggies with my $75 this week. And the only other thing that we're really running low on, I used the rest of my rice last night. So I will need to buy rice, but I do have a rain check for a 8 kilogram bag of rice. And what was the other thing? Oh, fat, any sort of fat. I've gone through my lard already, which I didn't have tons of anyway. We had run out of butter before Christmas, I did a lot of Christmas baking. And so I'm going to have to buy some margarine or butter this week, or olive oil, but I haven't seen a good price on olive oil in ages. I do have a little bit of olive oil left, but for baking, I actually do kind of prefer to have butter or margarine. Just find it kind of imparts less taste, and it's mostly children eating the baking goods, so I like to keep the fat sort of a bland taste. I did end up making a few slight variations to my monthly menu plan just for days that worked better or worse for us, just mostly according to the weather or if we had any activities we needed to do that day. But other than that, I'm pretty much sticking to my monthly meal plan. And yeah, we'll see what we end up making next week if you would like to tune in then. All right, thanks so much and have a great day.